Sometimes new, sometimes old, sometimes overlooked, but always worth a second look. These are Pair of Dice Paradise's picks for the Games of the Week. Imagine if Carcassonne, Dominion, and Galaxy Trucker were combined into a fantasy strategy game where sly sorcerers compete to untangle urban architecture, saving their city while gaining fame and prestige. Now imagine if that game also came with a free sandwich. Well, Sorcerer City by Druid City Games, who helped sponsor this episode, doesn't come with a free hoagie, but it does combine real-time bag building and tile placement for a unique city-building experience. So let's go explore the streets and the bewitching boroughs of Sorcerer City. Life in a city full of soothsayers is especially rough. Every single year, Sorcerer City is magically built and rebuilt with metropolitan masses moving and mixing in dozens of different directions. It's a city planner's worst nightmare. And whose fault is it? Why, yours. Because in this game, the players are rival wizard architects assigned to repeatedly build the same city district over and over again for 5 years, expanding and redesigning it to gain the most money, influence, and magic, which is no easy task. Fortunately, there aren't any other obstacles that these arcane architects have to worry about, other than the hordes of marauding monsters who are also running amok throughout the city. So you'll probably want to try to work around those in order to keep your district from falling into complete and utter disrepair, because monsters will do that. To help them accomplish their feats of engineering excellence, each player starts the game with a set of tiles, and then, each round, they'll have 2 minutes to build their city as optimally as they can. In between rounds, new tiles can be purchased and added to the pool, which will provide additional rewards, but those pesky monsters are also continually added into the mix as well, sowing chaos, gumming up the works, and eating your sandwiches. After 5 years of construction and commotion, in game time, not real 5 years, the scores are tallied up and the wizard architect with the most victory points is crowned to be the new head wizard of Sorcerer City. The others are forgotten to the annals of history and probably, I don't know, they probably go into carpentry or become pharmacist or something. I'm actually really not sure. It's really not made clear in the rule book. But you know what? That's okay, because that's actually not really the point of Sorcerer City. Life in the Underdark is not easy. It's dark, for starters, obviously. But what's more, most of your neighbors are harboring some manner of evil intent, often directed at you. Which is why you are going to need a cunning strategy and the will to execute it if you're going to rise to join the ranks among the Tyrants of the Underdark. 2016's Tyrants of the Underdark here, published by Gale Force 9, pits 2 to 4 players against each other in a struggle to conquer the most territory of the tumultuous Underdark in a game that combines deck-building mechanisms with area control. In the game, each player leads a house of drow or drow or these really nasty elves in a section of the Underdark below the Sword Coast. As the game progresses, players will send out troops and strategically place spies in order to gain influence and control over an expanding swath of locations across the board. To accomplish this, each player has a deck of cards which represents their drow or drow or really nasty little elf house. The cards in each player's deck will change over the course of the game as they recruit new minions and retire other cards to their inner circle, a special zone that increases the value of those cards at the end of the game. New minions can be recruited from a central marketplace, which is created by selecting 2 different 40-card decks and shuffling them together to create a customized 80-card deck full of drow or drow, really nasty little elves, dragons, demons, and elementals who are all ready and waiting to do your bidding. Players gain points by controlling sites on the map, recruiting certain minions with bonus points attached to them, promoting minions to their inner circle, and assassinating enemy troops. In the end, the player that best spreads their influence and stacks their deck with points will win the game and claim control of the Underdark. And then they can call the elves whatever they want. Drow, Drow, Elfies, they'll no longer matter because they will be in charge and they'll make the rules. Except the rules for this game, because those are written in the rule book. And you'll be sure you want to read those because it's a good game. So Tyrants of the Underdark. In Targhee, which is an excellent worker placement game for just 2 players, designed by Andreas Steiger and published by Cosmos, players trade goods, such as dates, salt, and pepper, in order to obtain gold and other benefits to enlarge their family. But really, it's about the family. It's about family. And gold, and family. The game Targhee here consists of a 5x5 grid of cards, which make up a border of 16 squares with printed action symbols on them. This creates a spot for 9 spaces in the center where additional cards are dealt. And these cards represent the resources that players are going to collect. And to do this, on their turn they will place one of their meeples on a space along the edge of the board, not including the corners. Those are off limits and not there, no. Additionally, meeples can't be placed on a space that already contains an opponent's meeple as well, nor a space along its opposite side. Once all meeples are placed, players then execute the actions on the border spaces that their meeples are on, and then they also take the cards from the center that match the intersections of the rows and columns where they have placed their meeples. It's really not as complex as I'm making it sound. I'm not doing this game justice. You look at it, it makes a lot more sense when you see it on the table. Each player's scoring area consists of a tableau of 3 rows of 4 cards, which are filled from left to right and cannot be moved once they are placed, barring some special cards, which I'm not going to go into now because I'm already, wow, this is not the way to explain this game. Scores are accumulated by balancing the victory points that are printed on each card that's collected, plus the types of cards that are collected. For example, a full row of 4 distinct card types earns 2 victory points, whereas a full row of identical card types earns an additional 4 victory points. Targhee is a game that is much better than I have made it sound. So let me know, have you played Targhee and its expansion? And if so, how do you describe this game to new people? Because apparently I could really use the practice at it. Attack is a game of expansion and conflict that's set in the World War II era, designed to be easy to get into while still immersing players in the flavor of the period. In Attack, designed by Glenn Drover and published in 2003 by Eagle Gryphon Games, each player starts with several regions, one of which will be their capital, and just a few military units. Players will then expand their power bases by adding regions to their sphere of influence, which may be done either through diplomacy or just straight up military conquest, utilizing a combat system in which each unit has a certain advantage based on its historical role on the battlefield. The game here also features an economic system that determines production. The players start with 1 card per region owned, and then receive an additional card for each new region added to their control. These cards, to which I reference, come in 4 basic types: resources, factories, transport network, and oil. Each card has a value printed on it that represents the base economic value of that region. And if a player is able to create an entire set consisting of 1 of each type, they will double the value of those cards in that set. There's also a 5th type of card for population, which has a minimum value of 1. The population cards represent a region without any other special economic value. Because no matter what, people always have value. The game includes a 24 by 30 inch map of the world, 2 decks of cards, 2 6-sided dice, 8 custom 6-sided dice, and over 600 plastic miniatures, which take a really long time to punch off their sprues, representing a variety of units such as infantry, tanks, planes, and artillery. Additionally, these 4 units each have their own strengths and abilities. I recently discovered an expansion for this game was released in 2009, plus there was an updated version called Attack Deluxe, which followed in 2016. Fancy. So if you have fond memories of Risk or Axis and Allies, well, then Attack here may be another game that can scratch that nostalgic, long Saturday afternoon wargaming itch. Or you may have hives. Either way. Will this game here turn your stubble to rubble? This is the question I must ask as we take a look at the epic beard game. And I guarantee you, the puns get worse. The epic beard game, created by Dave Urick and published by The Good Game Company, includes a score pad and pencil, 50 bluffing chips, and a deck of 108 cards, featuring cards in 4 colors and 9 characters with designated penalty points therein. The object of this game is to be the player with the lowest number of points achieved by discarding as many cards as possible and then bluffing your opponents while you do it. And all of this happens over the course of 3 rounds, during which each player is dealt 6 cards and then, on their turn, performs one of 3 different actions. The player can discard a card from their hand that matches the same color or the same character as the card on top of the discard pile. And discarding certain cards will require their opponents to draw cards, so it's kind of a double whammy there, which, haha, oh no. Or, you know what? A player can also choose to draw a card themselves. Or, that third option I talked about, the player can declare a pair, in which they pick another player as their target, and then take 2 cards out of their hand and place them face down on the table and declare their pair to their target. What happens next? Here's what happens next. These face down cards can either match the top cards of the discard pile, or be 2 random, non-matching cards. Nobody knows except the player who played them, and they're not telling. Now, either way, the target has to decide whether the player is telling the truth or is bluffing, the untruth. Penalty chips are then awarded based on the accuracy of the target's selection. Whenever a player discards their last card, the penalty values on everyone else's remaining cards are added to their score. And then, at the end of 3 rounds, any penalty chips are also totaled, and the player with the fewest points is declared the winner. Have you played the Epic Beard game? Well, if so, post a comment and let me know what you thought. Was there a runaway winner, or did they achieve victory by a close shave?
Whether you're a tabletop gamer or an interstellar life form that just enjoys dice, you'll absolutely adore hanging this playful Pair of Dice Paradise shirt upon your body. Unless you're a being of pure energy that has no corporal form, in which case you could, use it as a dish rag.